Thank you for listening to REED-BBS. Ciao.
REED-BBS. BBS. So all eyes are on the Bud Crawford Israil MADRIMOV card this Saturday, August the 3rd. But what about our other set of eyes? Let's look at that undercard real quick. How about that? Among others, we got Isak Pitbull Cruz against Jose RAYO Valenzuela for Pitbull's WBA super lightweight title. We got David Morel against Radovoj Collage. I've completely butchered my man's name, and for that I apologize. It's not really going to matter in the long run because David Morel's going to beat the hell out this dude. Morel is moving up to light heavyweight. This is for the vacant interim, or is it the interim vacant? Either way, it's a portion of the WBA light heavyweight title. We got Andy Cruz against Antonio Moran. We got bad built Andy Ruiz versus Jared Chunky Gerald Miller, also known as Jared Big Baby Miller. And we got Jared the real Big Baby Anderson versus Martin Bucoli. So let's break down these undercard bouts, if you don't mind. And before we do that, subscribe, comment. Remember, sharing is caring. Love tap and or bitch slap that like button for your boy. Shout out to LBT, the Louisville boxing team, Coach Jamal. Shout out to Loyalty Boxing Fitness with my man O and T Reezy. Shout out to the Brothers of Boxing. Shout out to the homies at FightBeat.com. Can you step to this? So let's squash the whole Big Baby. We should have done that. We should squash the whole Big Baby fiasco. We should have done that on this card. Instead, we got bad built Andy Ruiz versus Jared Big Baby Miller, again, who I affectionately call Chunky Gerald Miller. And we got the real Big Baby Jared Anderson versus Martin Bucoli. They should have had the Big Babies fight each other to find out who's really the real Big Baby. I think it's Jared Anderson. He's the younger of the two. He's the more disciplined of the two. Jared just need to get his out of the ring life in order. He's had a couple dust-ups with the law, nothing major, nothing most fighters ain't had at some point, or most people ain't had at some point in their lives, but maturity for him. I would have liked to have seen him and Chunky Gerald Miller fight, and maybe they will down the road, especially if Chunky Gerald can beat bad build Andy Ruiz, which I highly doubt. But yeah, so give me Jared, the real Big Baby Anderson, over Martin Bucoli, who is a step up. Bucoli is a slight step up in the level of opposition that Anderson has been facing. And it's just about time for him to get going, man. And I realize heavyweights mature late, but Jared Anderson, the real Big Baby, he's been treading water for a couple years now. After this Bucoli fight, and with the help of Turkey a la Sheik, I think and I expect Big Baby Anderson to start taking on stiffer competition. As I just stated, Andy Ruiz, he's going to beat Jared Big Baby Miller, Chunky Gerald Miller. Chunky Gerald is just here collecting checks now. He's going through the motions. He's that fight that you take. If you're on the verge of not being relevant anymore, then you fight Chunky Gerald. Because if your ass can't beat him, you need to get the hell out the game and go get a job in a call center or something like that. It's just like that. Andy Cruz, he's facing Antonio Moran. I believe Moran fought Devin Haney several years ago. So there's some name recognition there. There's an ability to make a comparison. Cruz, gold medalist in 2020, I believe. He's clearly a polished, talented boxer. My man needs to work on becoming more fan-friendly. Because on the heels of Shakur Stevenson's performances of late, the last thing we need right now in boxing is another slick boxer who's guaranteed to go 10 full rounds. We don't need another guaranteed distance fight. I don't mind a distance fight, but it can be a bit underwhelming, and it can remove drama, and it can remove anticipation from a fight when you know that shit is going 12 full rounds. So with that said, Cruz beats Moran clearly, but it's going to be by decision. Getting back to David Morel versus my man Collage. Sorry again for butchering the name. So like David Benavidez, who was sick and tired of being sick and tired of waiting on Saul Canelo Alvarez, David Morel is moving on up. He's moving on up like the Jeffersons. And he's vying for the vacant interim WBA light heavyweight title. He's going to win that fight. I still ain't seen nobody hit David Morel back in a fight yet. I ain't seen him get hit yet. Seen him fight like 3 times now. It's been all one-way traffic. So for that reason, it's not that I'm down on Morel. I'm just not high on him because he hasn't faced any level of resistance, any level of competition to date. We'll see if that's the case against my man whose name I can't pronounce. And the fact of the matter is, Morel and Benavidez are on a crash course. I had said, yeah, it's going to happen in light heavyweight. I didn't anticipate them both being light heavyweights in 2024. But since Canelo is fucking up super middleweight, you got to get on with your own career. I'm not mad at that. And with all that said, Morel beats the living hell out of Collage, just like he's done everybody else. And we still won't have any questions answered on the legitimacy of Morel as a threat to either Benavidez or to the light heavyweight champions, Bivol and BABYS. As an aside, it's kind of fucked up how they haven't even fought for the undisputed title yet at light heavyweight. But we already got an interim WBC champion in David Benavidez, and now we're about to have a interim WBA champion, more than likely in David Morel. But I digress. And in the co-main, Isaac Pitbull Cruz versus Jose Rayo Valenzuela for Pitbull's WBA super lightweight title, which he violently and defiantly removed from the hands and the waist of Rolly Romero. I don't see Rayo having anything for Pitbull. Yeah, he's a lot taller. He's a lot longer. Yes, he's with Robert Garcia now. But I think I think Rayo has already been broken mentally. I think his spirit was broken by Edwin De Los Santos. Now, he rebounded well. He got robbed in the first Chris Colbert fight. Then he rectified the shit out of that by stretching Colbert in their rematch. So Rayo has kind of rebuilt himself. But Pitbull's on a wave right now. Pitbull's got the full support and love of his people. Coming off the heels of that Rolly win, Pitbull is probably going to be next. I know Tank Davis has been flirting with Shakur Stevenson, but this is what Tank does. He'll probably end up fighting Isaac Pitbull Cruz next for his last big fight of 2024. And with that said, Pitbull ain't finna fuck this up. Not against Rayo. Pitbull is too strong, too relentless. He's used to fighting taller guys. The trajectory of his shots, he's throwing those wild winging hooks and shit. He loves to fire them upwards anyway. And I see Rayo being right in the firing zone, right in range to get swung on mightily and heavily and repeatedly by Isaac Pitbull Cruz. So yeah, the trainer switch, I'm sure that's good for Rayo's confidence. Not sure what happened with him in Benavidez's camp, but it happens in boxing. Motherfuckers have 2, 3, 7, and 8 different trainers before it's all said and done. I got Pitbull by KO in that one. No, it'll be interesting, maybe the first 2, 3 rounds, but Pitbull stops him within 8 or 9. And those are my thoughts on the undercard. Give me yours. REED-BBS, BBS. Blackbird Sugar, Bachelor's in Boxing Studies. Television! Fred Sanford of the Fistic Arts. When all is said and done, there's nothing left to say or do.